Hi, I'm Lionel, this is techloto, and today we're going to go into a bit more detail about the WAU bike. So like I said in my previous video, you can feel that the build of this bike is really good. And the reason for that is because it's made with heat treated aluminium. It has a great suspension, so it means you always get a smooth ride when you're on the road. But if you're on a smooth surface or you're going uphill, you have the lockout suspension, so then you can always make sure that you're getting the most efficient speed when you're going uphill or you're on a smooth surface. The casing of the battery is so secure because it's made of high grade ABS plastic. In short, it's extremely tough and durable, so you don't have to worry when you're charging it, or even when it's inside the bike, you don't have to worry about it being damaged or anything like that. So these are all the things that give you confidence about the build of this bike, so you know you can actually fully utilize it. And with the battery box itself, it has 2 keys for extra security. It just gives you that extra confidence about the security of your bike. So after doing a bit of research, I found that the 100 miles that this bike can give isn't just being touted for no reason. The 100-mile range that the WAU bike has gives you about 3 times what you usually get on the market, especially for this kind of price. And that's simply because other e-bikes on the market have been known to use cheap batteries from China, but that's the benefit of having a company that's developed everything in the UK and then obviously manufacturing where it's needed. But because it's a UK based company, you know they're using all the best parts for this bike. So that means the battery in the WAU bike holds the charge a lot better when compared to other e-bikes. I guess that's the benefit of using the higher grade Samsung cells rather than just the cheaper cells that you can get from elsewhere. When you're planning to get an e-bike, it would be advisable to do a deep dive into how the company's sourcing their batteries, because based on the type of battery they have, it can affect the battery life cycle. To give a very simple example, imagine if your phone battery died every year. That would be annoying to have to replace it and open it up, and then you're thinking, do you go back to the manufacturer, do you get a second-hand one? The good thing about this is that you know you're going to have a battery that has a long battery life cycle. So the most interesting thing is, when I've been riding this, the biggest question that I've been asked is, where did you get these lights? How can I get these lights on my bike? Unfortunately, these lights are not sold anywhere else, they're part of the bike. But as I've said before, they're so bright at night, and during the day it's nice to have proper indicators that are actually built into the bike, and it's also nice to have brake lights that are built into the bike all in one. Again, the GPS tracking is a big deal because this bike has an alarm but it doesn't have an immobilizer, so it's nice to have that GPS because it gives you extra confidence that you know exactly where your bike is if it's been turned on and if someone's riding it. And it's also good to just be able to track where you're going and where you've been over the past few days. So again, I appreciate that they've thought about security when it comes to setting this up. So a real concern that I had when I started riding this was, what are the tyres going to be like? Is it the type of bike where the tyres will get punctured so quickly and you constantly have to take it to a professional because you don't really want to tamper with something like this? But I rode this bike everywhere, on-road, off-road. I took it to a massive park and took it on every kind of terrain that you can pretty much imagine. And the tyres were completely fine. If you have a look at the tyres, they're quite thick, because you're going to take it on road and you're going to take it off road. That's probably why they're that thick, even though you're going to be using it as a road bike regularly. And when you go on the WAU website, you can get a little bit more information about the tyres. You definitely feel that the tyres are lightweight because you just glide on the street, but you can see that they're anti-puncture tyres and that's why they're so durable. So the WAU bike that's sold is restricted to 15.5 miles per hour. That's the kind of speed that you'll get, but they do have an unlocked version which can go up to 25 miles per hour. On a bike like this where you're getting assistant, you want to make sure that the brake is really good. For me, this is probably the most important feature where you can't settle at all. And the best way I can describe it is that you have to treat it a bit more like when you're driving a car. So you don't just hit the brakes instantly, but you gradually brake. Obviously that's like if you're riding a good bike as well, but it might be a slightly different experience than most bikes because the WAU bike has hydraulic brakes, which is better than the standard mechanism, and it means it's a lot easier to use and a lot more efficient. So that's a little bit more detail about the WAU bike. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have, don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.